downstream, he will land, assault the cities near the banks, and subdue them all. Then comes the walled city of Mali, home of the independent tribe of Malians.
Alexander neared the city and thought to take it by storm. One of the seers came to him and reported that there had been revealed to him a great danger which would come to the king from a wound in the course of the operation. He begged Alexander to leave the city alone for the present and to turn his mind to other activities. The king scolded him for dampening the enthusiasm of the soldiers, and then, disposing his army for the attack, led the way in person to the city, eager to reduce it by force.
Alexander stationed his infantry in a ring around the outer defenses and moved up in close formation. The defenders took refuge in their inner stronghold. Here, they continued to resist, and not without success, for they turned and fell upon a small party of Macedonians, driving some of them out again and killing about 25 before they could get away. Alexander, meanwhile, brought the scaling ladders into position all around the inner stronghold.
But the men with the ladders are too slow for Alexander. Impatiently, he grabs one himself, leans against the fortress wall, and is the very first to climb to the top, cutting down at the enemy left and right, until suddenly Alexander stands alone. To the horror of his men down below, he is now a perfect target for enemy archers. What he should do now is go back, jump down to rejoin his men. But what he does do is jump forward, inside the enemy fortress, where, in hand-to-hand combat, he fights for his life. Horrified, the Macedonians rush for the walls in such numbers they break their own ladders. Only 3 of them manage to join him inside the fortress, including the bearer of Alexander's Trojan shield. 2 of the Macedonians are cut down by the enemy, and Alexander himself receives an arrow which penetrates his body armor and pierces his lung. The 4th Macedonian defends his leader with the great shield of Troy. Desperately, Alexander's army finally manages to scale the walls, and they witness an impossible sight. Their invincible leader lying on the ground in a pool of blood.
For Alexander, leading the charge to take on the enemy at Mali in 326 BC is nothing new. The wound he receives is but one of several he suffers on the fields of battle. But for the seemingly invincible warrior, this injury is different. Alexander's troops realize it is life-threatening.
Immediately, the rumor ran through the camp that Alexander had been killed. Meanwhile, his attendants, with great difficulty, sawed off the wooden shaft of the arrow and thus succeeded in removing his breastplate. They then had to cut out the arrowhead, which was embedded between his ribs. When it was extracted, the king fainted away and came very near to death. Even when the danger was past, he remained weak and for a long time needed careful nursing.
Slowly, Alexander recuperates. During the next 2 years, he heads his army west back towards Greece, half by land, half by sea. In July of 324 BC, Alexander suffers an even deeper hurt. His close friend